Hello and welcome to Michell Consulting's webinar series for our Michell University. Today we're going to be working with Infor FACTS and talking about the transfer program and inventory control. We're going to be using, for purpose of the demo, FACTS 7.7. What we'll be doing is we'll be recording this video. At the end we'll have a question and answer session, and the webinar will be available on our website. You can visit us at www.mitchellgroup.com. So let's begin. Again, like we said, we're using FACTS 7.7 as our demo. We're going to go into the inventory control, and we're going to talk about warehouse transfers. Now, those of you used the older versions of FACTS, there was just a transfer screen. This program allowed you to just go in and do like a quick transfer, basically transfer from one location to another. And the inventory was moved immediately. This is still available. If we see our quick transfer down here, and we'll be looking at this towards the end. But the quick transfer screen, as we remember from the old version, is just that. It allows you to actually go and create it. But the transfer program here in FACTS, the best way to think of this, it's a combination of the sales and receivables, and purchase orders. Basically, we know from working with sales is that we would create the sale, we would confirm the sale, and we would run a register, we would update the sales. The same with the purchasing. We'd receive the merchandise, we would update and run registers. Here we kind of do the same thing. What we do is we can actually create a transfer entry, and then during the shipment confirmation, we are taking the merchandise out of that location and putting it into a transfer area. So for example, if we're going to transfer from location 1 to 2, what we do is in the shipment, we take it out of location 1 and we put it into the shipping area. This way it's out of the inventory for that warehouse. It can't be used. And then what we do is when we receive it into the second warehouse, we do a receipt confirmation, and of course we run our shipment registers and our receiving registers. We can also do what's known as suggested transfers, and there's a couple ways of doing these. We can do them from sales as well as directly here. So let's actually look at it from the sales side first. We're going to go into sales order and order entry, and we're going to create an order. And we're going to pick item here. And we can see that this item, we don't have enough in stock. All right? You can see here that our on hand is 0. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to order 10. So we're going to go through the process, and in FACTS, we have this option to do one of 3 things. We can create a suggested purchase order, which will be covered in detail and our purchasing side of our webinars. We can create a suggested transfer, or we can actually do nothing and just let it stand backward. In this case, we're going to create the suggested transfer. So you can see here that we are in warehouse 1, so we are going to transfer from warehouse 2 to warehouse 1 the 10 we need. And again, this is all controlled with security features. For the purpose of the demo, I have access to this. So if you have salespeople, and you can restrict them from actually creating the transfers. So we're just going to continue on. We're going to complete this order. And now we have an order. So let's go back into inventory control. And let's look at the transfers. So here we can do a suggest transfer entry. So we can say, in this case, we went from warehouse 2 to warehouse 1. We have two types. We can do restocking, or we can do special orders. Again, we're looking at restocking here, so we see that we have created these. If we look at special orders, we can see the one we did. So the special orders are coming from the sales, because in this instance, we created a sales order. We didn't have it in stock. We want to create a special order. So we created a special order for that specific sales order, and you can see the item here, I-101. We can also go into restocking, and we can go and create by adding items here. So we can look at an item, and we can also create it here. Let's look at one of the ones we have. So we have it on the screen, and we see below some information. So we can see we're going from warehouse 2 to warehouse 1, which is here. We can see that we have 17 on hand, and warehouse 2, 0 on hand, and warehouse 1, and the on order, the committed, and the back order. If we want to look at the detail, we can do an inquiry from. So we're looking at the from warehouse 2. You can see here we're looking at warehouse 2, and again, we just have our detail inquiry of the item, detailed information about the item. We can do our inquiry 2, so we're going to warehouse 1. And again, you can see the information here for warehouse 1. And if we had several lines here, we can actually delete a range. So if we had several lines you want to delete from one item to another, we can also do that. So this program allows us to create our transfer, our suggested transfer. These are our requests, and we want to actually maybe set this up ahead of time. We know we need to transfer. We can see from various reports. We can run a report seeing how we're below minimum, and we need to move this information. So we can actually create the transfer report. The next one is our suggested transfer report. And again, here, it's just a report of what we saw on the first screen. And we're going to say from warehouse 02 to warehouse 01, but we can look at all warehouses if we wish. And again, we can see our transfer. We can see the 10 we did. And you can see this is coming from a sales order. We can see this one here. This also is coming from a sales order because when we checked on that special, we saw 2, and we have the information here. So this gives us a report of what we've got. And again, if we go back and look, again, we saw the restocking ones, and then we saw the special orders. Again, those are the 2 that are coming from the actual sales orders. So now let's actually do a transfer entry. Again, the suggested is not required. It can be done. This information will be pulled in when we actually do the transfer entry. But if you wish, you can start right at the transfer entry. So here we're going to create a transfer. We can then print it. We can use this for our packing document. Once it's loaded and out of the warehouse, we can do a shipment confirmation. This will take it out of the stock of the one warehouse and put it into an in transit. We can do a shipment register to confirm all that and post to our general ledger. When the merchandise comes to the other warehouse, we can do a receipt confirmation. We can receive the merchandise in, run our receiving register. This will update the general ledger as well as update the quantities within those inventories. And we'll go through that, and then we'll look at some of the reports. So let's do our transaction, our entry. So we're going to say warehouse 02 to warehouse 01. And we can enter our transfer dates using this one for purposes of the demo. And here we have the option, import suggested transfers. So if I click this and click OK, you can see the ones I want to import. So right now they're all set to import. So I may want to toggle through. So that's a Y. I don't want to import that one. Let's just turn it on so we can see everything. Let's just bring them all in. Let's take this one out, and so on. Again, you can inquire on any of the options here. So you can see that I've added the 4 lines. And again, if I want, I can go here and I can add a line myself. I can go here. I can do a special order. Again, I can actually search a sales order and do it for a line after the fact, because maybe I didn't say yes to that on the sales order, but then I realized I don't have them in stock. So you can see, like this one here on sales order 1910, we realize we don't have it in stock and we need to create a special order. We have that ability. It's just telling me it's line 2 of that order. Again, we can look at the information. It's giving you 2 because that was what's on the sales order, but again, we can put whatever we'd like. Or we can do our search, and we can select any item we wish. And it's just telling me that the normal restocking path is direct. This means that this item is set up to be received directly. It's not really set up to be transferred, but we can override that with the proper security. So we're going to just put 100 of these. And again, you see we're back ordering them because we don't have enough in stock. We only have 50 on hand from warehouse 2. So we're just going to change this to 50. So we're going to commit it on. We don't want to back order anything. And so on. We can continue on. So now we have a transfer ticket. So we have ticket T00360. Just click Done. Actually, before you do that, you can actually, like with all the other documents in FACTS, you can go to the header. You can see detailed header information. And you know here you can do your views. You have your options, and so on, like you would have in the standard FACTS in the sales and purchasing. Just click Done. We're going to go ahead and let's not print it. Let's just click OK. So now we've created a transfer entry. Again, we can search our warehouses. We can do our document search. We can call up the one we have, which is 360. Again, we can make any changes to it if we wish. We can add lines. We can delete lines. We can insert a line as well as edit lines. Or we can just double click and we can do the same for editing purposes. I could print those if I want, or what I can do is I can go to the transfer print program. Let's say I want to enter several tickets, and then I want to print them in a batch mode. Again, you have the option of printing or reprinting. You may have already run a print these. You want to do a reprint. You can select a warehouse. You say 02, or all warehouses if you like. You can put a cutoff date, the document types, again, priorities, and you can go ahead and search for, say, all and bring all your stuff over. Let's just do a search, and I believe it was T360. And we're just going to go ahead and we're going to print this. And again, you can see, just putting it on Notepad here for the demo, but again, you can see all the information. So you can see what was requested. You can see that nothing has been shipped yet. So again, you have your transfer document inquiry at any time. Let's take a look at this. And again, we can see our transfer document. Again, you can see the from warehouse, the to warehouse. You can see the status. It's printed, the day it was entered. And you can look at what was requested, committed, back, shipped, and so on. Everything we have here. So there we have our print. So now let's do our shipment confirmation. Let's say we're going to go and we're going to, for, again, demos of the purposes, we'll just do the one transfer we created. So we'll do our shipment confirmation. Again, this is similar to the order confirmation that you would do in the sales system. We now have to confirm it. So we're going to go in and put in our ticket. Again, we have the ship date. We're using this as our system date for the demo. And again, we have our options like we would in the sales confirmation. We can assume shipment of all quantities. We can not assume shipment, back order all the committed quantities. We can do not assume shipment, leave all quantities committed. And we can do confirm shipment of all committed by line. We're just going to assume all for purposes of the demo. Okay, so here we have one with a lot. So I believe here we have 2. Let's go out of here. We have a little issue with that one. Let's take out the so let's go back in. We had a little issue with the so let's go to our shipment confirmation. We're going to go ahead and delete this line. So there we've done our shipment confirmation. So if we look at our transfer document inquiry, and we call up our ticket, again, we can see what we've got here. So we have our shipment of the line. We're going to work with this one here. So you can see that we have what we requested, what was shipped, and so on. Again, we can call the ticket back up if we want. But we're going to go into the shipment register, and we're going to call up this ticket. Again, we'll use this one. Select all warehouses. And we can see that our current period is June of 2010, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. So let's go ahead and take that off. We're going to do one because we're having a little issue with the serial numbers. Let's just create an entry. We're going to say 02 back to 01. We're not going to import. 10 of these. Go ahead and print it. You can see our transfer. So that's going to be transfer 361. So let's go into the shipment confirmation. Again, we're going to put our ticket in. Let's do the other ticket. This one here we want to look at. We want to assume all quantities. So here we're looking again at the requested, the shipped. We're going to go ahead and be done. So we now have that one shipped. So if we go now to our shipment register and we put in our ticket, and again, our current period is June of 2010. We're going to use that date. So again, we're looking at our ticket. So we're seeing here what we've got, our ticket, our item, the from to warehouse, and the amount we're going to transfer. We can print our GL distribution. So you can see here what we're doing is we're going to take it out of the warehouse. So we're taking it out of the inventory account, which is the O2. So we're going to credit that, and we're going to move it into our in-transit general ledger account. So we're taking the merchandise out, and we're putting it in transit. So yes to update. So if we go look at our inquiry again, again, we can see here now that we have a transfer here. We can see all the information on top, and you can see the original amount and the total that was shipped. Nothing's been received, so what we've done is we've shipped our merchandise. So we'll stay with this one for the rest of our demonstration. So to recap, what we've done is we created the transfer, and then we did the shipment confirmation and the shipment register. What that did is it took the merchandise, the quantity, out of the warehouse, so out of warehouse 2, and put it into the in-transit area. So it's no longer in warehouse 2, and it's not in warehouse 1 yet. It's in transit. We've also made our general ledger posting. Since we've moved it, we've credited $1,200, which is the amount of the inventory, out of the inventory of warehouse 2, and we put it into the in-transit. Now we're receiving it into the warehouse. So we're going to do our receipt confirmation. So here we have our receipt confirmation. Again, we can enter our ticket. And again, we have our receiving date, and we're going to assume receipt. Now, it's nice here, if you have an issue, we can actually back order this. For some reason, there was 10 shipped, but we only received 8. We could actually do the back order, but for purpose of the demo, we're going to do it all. And then click Done. Again, if we look at our document inquiry, we can see now that total shipped was 10, total received. So now we're going to go ahead, since we've done the receiving, done the receipt confirmation, we're going to run the receiving register, and we're going to finish the update. We're just going to use our ticket. Again, we have all our selections here. We're just going to do that. Again, we're using this date because of our current GL period. for inventory and general ledger. So again, you can see the receiving. We have our ticket, our shipment number. Again, all the information. And we have that we shipped 10, received 10, so there's no discrepancies on this, so we're okay. Again, we can say yes to the general ledger. So we see now what we're doing is we're now moving it. So we're crediting the inventory in transit, and we're moving it to the O1. You notice in the first one, we had the information here. So you can see the shipment, so we took it out of the transit of 2 and we put it into the inventory of warehouse 1 because we received it now in warehouse 1. Say yes to update, and that completes the process. So again, if we look at our inquiry, you can see the information here. So for our process, to recap what we've done, again, we have our transfer entry. This allows us to create the transfer. We can then print our transfer. We have our shipment confirmation. This is similar to the order confirmation that's in the sales order. What we're doing is we're taking the merchandise out of the from warehouse and we're putting it into a shipment warehouse. So it's no longer available to sell in warehouse 1. It's not available to sell in warehouse 2 yet. We haven't received it. It's in process. And then we run our registers. The register will then adjust the inventory. So it'll take the merchandise out of warehouse 1, put it into the shipment warehouse, and of course make our general ledger posting. So we're going to credit the inventory in warehouse 1 and debit the in transit. Then when the merchandise arrives at this other warehouse, we do the receipt confirmation. This allows us to bring the merchandise into warehouse 2. The receipt confirmation will, again, bring the quantity into warehouse 2. It'll update the quantity in warehouse 2, as well as affect the general ledger. So when we affect the general ledger, we're going to credit the shipment warehouse and debit the actual general ledger for warehouse 2. And now it's done in the receiving register. There's some standard reports that we have in the other modules. We have a document fill report, which we can run at any time. We can look at both purchase orders and transfers. We're going to look at transfer only, so we can run this. And again, we can see what we have here for filling. And it's the same report that you see in the purchase orders. You have the transfer status report. Again, we can just see what's going on, and we can do it by ticket or item order. Again, we can look at various dates, warehouses. We can look at our priorities. If it's a normal rush, if it's on service hold, we can look at our statuses. If it's printed, shipped, in transit, and so on. And again, it gives us a report of what's going on. You can see here all the different tickets and where they are, what's been shipped, what's been received, and all the costing information involved. And of course, we have the quick transfer that we had from the other system. So that concludes our webinar today on the inventory transfers. Like we said, this webinar is being recorded. It's going to be available on our website. You can visit us at www.michellgroup.com. If those are attendees, if you want, you can actually raise your hand or pose a question. Any questions on what we've covered today? So, okay, looks like we have no questions. So once again, this is part of our Michell University webinar series. Let's see, I think we do have a question coming in. let's see, we have this here. The question is this report that you can run with the transfers that are based on min-max. What you can look at, I would say the best way to do that is you can look at the committed back orders here. This would probably be one of the options of doing it. Let's see if we can I will err on that. So no, I don't really right now believe an answer to that question. That would be that might have to be a customization. What we could do is we're going to have a webinar series in detail concerning the order point adjustments. So I have the person here who answered the question. What I'll do is let me get some detailed information to you, and I will send you a follow-up email with the information. But at standard, no, we don't have it within this program. So again, that concludes our webinar. Again, this is being recorded. It'll be available on our website. You can visit us at www.michellgroup.com to view this. Once again, we thank you for your time, and that ends our session today.